Auri Malla, who ruled from 1200 to 1216 AD, was the first Malla king of Kathmandu Valley. It is not clear how the first Malla king, Auri Malla, became king. We do not know how Auri Malla acquired the throne, whether by conquest, election, or dynastic link. Malla dynasty was established in 1200 AD. Very little is known about the early history of the Mallas. It is quite difficult to trace their origins. Their name is said to have come about because the first of their rulers to govern all of Nepal, Auri-Deva, was very fond of wrestling. He added the word Malla, which means wrestling, after the name of his son when the news reached him of the birth while he was himself wrestling. Auri Malla's son, Abhay Malla, then ruled from 1216 to 1255 AD. A disastrous earthquake occurred on 7th June 1255 AD. One-third of the population of Nepal, including King Abhay Malla, was killed by this earthquake. The kingdom was divided between two sons of Abhay Malla into Bhadgaon and Patan and Kathmandu in 1255 AD. Jayadev Malla, son of Abhay Malla, ruled Patan and Kathmandu, whereas Ananda Dev Malla, son of Abhay Malla, ruled Bhadgaon, Bhaktapur. The 13th king of Malla became a king from outside the Malla dynasty. His name was Jayasthiti Malla. King Rudra Malla of Kathmandu was childless. So, his daughter Nayab Devi controlled Kathmandu after the death of Rudra Malla. Rajalla Devi was the daughter of Nayab Devi. Jayasthiti Malla was brought to the valley from the southern Madhes and married to Rajalla Devi. On this basis, Jayasthiti Malla was gradually established in the governance systems of the then Nepal. At the time around 1382 AD, Jayasthiti Malla ruled as a king of a unified Malla kingdom of Kathmandu Valley. After that, his dynasty ruled in the Nepal Valley. Gopal Rajvangshavali, a very important source for the study of Nepal's history, is said to have been prepared during his time. Jayasthiti Malla is remembered for the social organization he set up by dividing the people into various caste groups according to their professions. Many important Sanskrit mythical books were translated into Newari, and the feeling of religious unity flourished during his rule. He divided the society into 4 castes and 18 subcastes. The land was divided into 4 groups as Abal, Doyam, Sim, Chahar on the basis of the production capacity. He did necessary improvement in the measurement system by creating Mana, Pati, Dhak to obtain correct measurement. System of selling land and mortgage arrangements were done in his period. After marriage, the surname of a woman is changed to the surname of a man was introduced in his rule. Kumbesur temple was built by King Jayasthiti Malla that makes it the oldest temple in Patan. Later, the Malla kings of Kantipur, Bhaktapur and Lalitpur were descendants from Jayasthiti Malla. After the death of Jayasthiti Malla in 1395 AD, his 3 sons, Dharma Malla, Jyoti Malla and Kirti Malla shared equal powers. But with the death of his first son, Dharma Malla, Jayasthiti Malla's second son, Jyoti Malla, took all power. After the death of Jyoti Malla in 1428 AD, his son, Yaksha Malla, became the king of Kathmandu Valley. Yaksha Malla ruled from 1428 to 1482 AD. A great conqueror, Yaksha Malla extends the boundaries of Nepal as far as Bengal in the east, Kerong and Kuti in the north, Gorkha in the west and North Bihar in the south. Banepa is also pulled into his kingdom. Yaksha Malla built the temple of Dattatreya at Bhadgaon, Bhaktapur. Yaksha Malla also invited 4 South Indian Bhatta Brahmin to take charge of the pujas within the Pasupati temple of Kathmandu. Their descendants are still the official priests in Pasupatinath temple. The 18th king of Malla period, Yaksha Malla, became the last king of unified Kathmandu Valley. Yaksha Malla makes the fatal mistake of dividing his kingdom between his 6 sons, Raya Malla, Ratna Malla, Rana Malla, Ari Malla, Purna Malla, Ram Malla, and a daughter, Dharmavati. Raya Malla is given the kingdom of Bhaktapur. Ratna Malla obtains the kingdom of Kathmandu. Rana Malla the kingdom of Banepa, and Patan is given to Dharmavati. The first entry of Muslims into Nepal was during the reign of King Ratna Malla of Kathmandu, the eldest son of Yaksha Malla. Their descendants, Mahendra Malla, king of Kantipur from 1560 to 1574 AD, built royal palace in Kathmandu and Taleju temple in 1564 AD. Mahendra Malla was a king in the history of Nepal who is known for not to eat his food before the food is eaten by all of his people. Mahendra Malla is known as the king who worries about whether the people have eaten or not. He had made arrangements to punish gamblers. From the 2 wives of Mahendra Malla, 2 sons, Sadasiv Malla and Siva Singh Malla, were born. After the death of Mahendra Malla, Sadasiv Malla ascended the throne. But Sadasiv Malla, the eldest son of King Mahendra Malla, was extremely unpopular within the people. He used to force his horses to be left in the fields of common people to destroy the crops. Young girls were forcibly sexually abused. The common people could not utter a single word against his injustice. The people were waiting to avenge his cruelty. Sadasiv Malla, the king who was fond of horse riding, was given royal facilities. There was no any law even if his horses entered the fields of the people and ruined the crops. Farmers did not even get compensation. At that time, the people of Kathmandu were tired of King Sadasiv Malla. They were waiting for an opportunity and wished King Sadasiv Malla would die so that all people can breathe a sign of relief. One day, suddenly, King Sadasiv Malla tricked his 8 guards and reached Manahara field on the border of Kathmandu and Bhaktapur. The farmers working there immediately surrounded him and started beating him. When his own people started beating him like this, King Sadasiv Malla had to flee from Kathmandu to Bhaktapur. In Kathmandu, after King Sadasiv Malla fled, his brother Shiv Singh Malla removed him from the throne and, declaring himself king, King Sadasiv Malla was deposed. After being deposed, King Sadasiv Malla continued his adultery even while taking refuge in Bhaktapur. King Trilokya Malla of Bhaktapur then took action against him and imprisoned him in his own palace of Bhaktapur. Historians estimate that King Sadasiv Malla died while in prison. The jail or place where Sadasiv Malla was detained in Bhaktapur is still known as Sadasiv Chowk. King Siva Singh Malla, who became the king of Kathmandu by removing his brother Sadasiv Malla, attacked Patan in 1655 Bikram Sambat and took over Patan. Talking about the kings of Patan, of Shiv Singh's 2 grandsons, the youngest Siddhi Narsingh Malla became the king of Patan and the eldest Lakshmi Narasingh Malla became the king of Kantipur. In 1693 Bikram Sambat, Siddhi Narsingh Malla built a 3-storied stone Krishna temple in front of the Patan Darbar with 21 gajuras in the Indian Aryan style. He introduced Kartik dance. Siddhi Narsingh Malla made the Lalitpur Darbars elaborate, beautiful and artistic. Srinivas Malla rebelled against his father, King Siddhi Narsingh Malla, in 1715 Bikram Sambat and became the king of Lalitpur in 1717 BS. Yog Narendra Malla rebelled against his father, King Srinivas Malla, and became the king of Lalitpur in 1741 BS. People from Bhaktapur secretly used poison on Yog Narendra Malla, who was living in Changu, in order to capture Bhaktapur. This caused a fever for a while, and Yog Narendra Malla died on 16th Kartik 1762 BS. He is believed to have been killed by poisoning tobacco. There were 33 wives who went to Sati with his dead body. Construction of the famous Mani Mandap in Patan Darbar area was done by Yog Narendra Malla in 1758 BS. King Yog Narendra Malla is still considered as a living king of Patan. The window of a room on the west side of the upper floor of the palace is left open, and a bedroom is still ready for him in Patan Darbar Square. There is also a bird on the head of his statue in front of the palace. Before his death, he said that he will die the day when the man-made bird will fly off from his head. Yog Narendra Malla was childless. So after his death, 6 ministers started to rule Patan. Tej Narsingh Malla was the last king of Patan, who was defeated by Prithvi Narayan Saha during the unification of Nepal. Speaking of the kings of Kathmandu, during the time of King Shiv Singh Malla's eldest grandson and Harihar Singh's eldest son, Lakshmi Narsingh Malla, Kazi Bhim Malla was a famous merchant of Kathmandu. Bhim Malla was the brother-in-law of King Lakshmi Narsingh Malla. Due to the growing fame of Bhim Malla, even King Lakshmi Narsingh Malla became worried. Believing the conspirators, King Lakshmi Narsingh Malla sentenced Kazi Bhim Malla to death for trying to steal his throne. After her husband was sentenced to death, King Lakshmi Narsingh Malla's sister and Bhim Malla's wife cursed Nepal to have the same deed for all those who want the best for the country, and no one in the royal court should have a conscience. As Bhim Malla's wife cursed Nepal when she was going Sati, it has become a legend that says Nepal got the curse of Sati. Shortly after the death of his brother-in-law Bhim Malla, King Lakshmi Narsingh Malla found out the truth. Then King Lakshmi Narsingh Malla, who was remorseful for his misdeeds, lost his mental balance. Thus, after the king lost his mental balance, his son Pratap Malla removed him from the throne in 1696 Vikram Sambat and became the king of Kantipur himself. Pratap Malla was fluent in 15 different languages. The inscription written in 15 languages of Pratap Malla's time is in Hanuman Doka. The idol of Hanuman, the establishment of Kal Bhairav, the temple of Jaleshwar Mahadev between Rani Pokhari, the Pasupati Koti Lingam, the temple of Dakshin Kali were all built by him. King Pratap Malla built Sundari Chowk, Nasal Chowk, Narsim Chowk, Kalik Chowk inside the Hanuman Doka Darbar, and built a water tank from Budalin Kanta to Hanuman Doka. He attempted to unify Kathmandu Valley by conquering Lalitpur and Bhaktapur, but failed in the effort. Pratap Malla had many wives and mistresses. He is also alleged to have raped a virgin girl, which ultimately resulted in her death. He built Rani Pokhari towards the end of his rule to console his queen after the death of their son Chakravartindra Malla. Legends say that when Pratap Malla was watching her Siddhi dance, he found a beautiful girl sitting next to him and made advance towards her. But the girl turned out to be the goddess Harsiddhi herself, and Pratap Malla died instantly. Since the time of this Malla king, members of the royal family have stopped visiting Budalin Kanta. King Parthivendra Malla was the second son of Pratap Malla. In 1737 BS, his brother King Nripendra Malla died at the age of 18, and Parthivendra Malla became the king of Kantipur. King Prithvipati Saha of Gorkha was ruling Gorkha at that time. After the death of King Parthivendra Malla in 1744 BS, due to poisoning, his son Bhupalendra Malla became the king. Bhupalendra Malla died in Ayodhya in 1757 BS at the age of 21. Then his son Vaskar Malla became the king of Kantipur. As Vaskar Malla was childless, he made Jagjaya Malla his successor. Due to plague epidemic, Vaskar Malla died in 1779 BS. After the death of King Jagjaya Malla in 1792 BS, his son Jaya Prakash Malla became the king of Kantipur. The last Malla king of Kantipur, Jaya Prakash Malla, was born as the second son of Jagjaya Malla and was proclaimed crown prince only after his brothers Rajendra Prakash died at young age. On the night of Aswin 14, 1825 BS, while King Jaya Prakash Malla was celebrating the Indra Jatra festival, Prithvinarayan Saha, king of Gorkha, attacked Kathmandu. So, after 4 hours of unorganized fighting, Jaya Prakash Malla, along with 300 bodyguards, fled towards Patan. Prithvinarayan Saha sat on the throne of Kantipur. Jaya Prakash Malla fled to Lalitpur and took refuge there. But Prithvinarayan Saha sent Kher Singh Basnet to Lalitpur 10 days later. He also completely annexed Lalitpur to Gorkha in 14 days. As Lalitpur was under the control of Gorkhas, King of Kantipur, Jaya Prakash Malla, and King of Patan, Tej Narsingh Malla, took refuge with King Ranjit Malla of Bhaktapur. On 20th November 1826 BS, the Gorkhali army entered Bhaktapur from the eastern gate of Bhaktapur Darbar Square. Talking about the kings of Bhaktapur, Raya Malla, son of Yaksha Malla, was the first king of Bhaktapur who ruled from 1482 to 505 AD. His son, Subarna Malla, ruled Bhaktapur from 1505 to 1519 AD. Subarna Malla started Navadurga dance in Bhaktapur and Mahalakshmi dance in Bode Thimi. Pran Malla, son of Subarna Malla, ruled Bhaktapur from 1519 to 1547 AD and actively involved in the development of Bhaktapur Darbar Square. Biswa Malla, son of Pran Malla, ruled Bhaktapur from 1547 to 1560 AD, who built 3-storied sacred shrines of Dattatreya. His son, Trailokya Malla, ruled Bhaktapur from 1560 to 1613 AD. His son, Jagjoti Malla, ruled Bhaktapur from 1613 to 1637 AD. Jagjoti Malla was the one who started Biscuit Jatra festival, chariot festival of Vairab and Kumari Jatra in Thimi. Narendra Malla, son of Jagjoti Malla, ruled Bhaktapur from 1637 to 1644 AD. His son, Jagat Prakash Malla, ruled Bhaktapur from 1644 to 1673 AD. Jagat Prakash Malla erected Hanumati Ghat to the eastern part of Bhaktapur. He erected a stone pillar at Narayan Chowk and the statue of Garuda. Jagjoti Malla's son, Jit Mitra Malla, ruled Bhaktapur from 1673 to 1696 AD. He built Sikar-style Shiva temple, Dharmasala near Bhaktapur Darbar Square with Golden Mahadev, and the royal palace, courtyards, and gardens of Bhaktapur Darbar Square. His son, Bhupatendra Malla, was a king of Bhaktapur from 1696 to 1722 AD. He built Netapola temple, Paspanne Jale Darbar or 55-windowed palace, and his own statue in front of the Golden Gate. The statues of Ugra Chandi, Narasimha, Hanuman, 99 courtyards, and ponds around the city Bhaktapur were almost all built by Bhupatendra Malla. His son Ranjit Malla was the last king of Bhaktapur. Even King Prithvinarayan Saha of Gorkha, who was in process of unification of Nepal, was able to unify Bhaktapur only in the end. After the unification of many states, Prithvinarayan Saha invaded Bhaktapur and merged it with Gorkha state. So, the last Malla kings were Jaya Prakash Malla of Kantipur, Tej Narsingh Malla of Lalitpur, and Ranjit Malla of Bhaktapur. After the defeat of the Malla kings, their descendants left the valley and settled in different districts of Nepal. Thank you.